The time has come, my friends. I've decided that today's D-Day. It's really important that you pick a moment in time. Today is the day. I've been thinking about this the last couple of weeks since we moved house about what that kind of starting point is going to be for me to move forwards from the last couple of years, really, I guess. Let's start off by talking about Bristol Triathlon. Bristol Triathlon is happening this coming weekend, and I'm going to be a spectator. This whole channel was started with a view to doing the Bristol Triathlon. And whilst that's been a focus for the last 3 years and wanting to do it and it being postponed or put off or cancelled completely, it's not just about doing the race, it's about doing it as best I can. And that was always the intention, was to get myself in a position where I wanted to race Bristol and I wanted to race it really well. I'm not in a position to do that. I don't feel great physically and mentally enough to do it, and I want to make Bristol something that I enjoy doing and not just survive. So that's my reasons for not doing Bristol. I will go and watch on Sunday and cheer everybody on, but my time will come and it starts today, really. So I decided that for the next 6 weeks, which kind of takes me up to just before my birthday, when I'll be 45, is I set myself a challenge of doing 8 things each week to try and make an improvement to various different bits of my life. So hear me out on these, because they're not all as straightforward as it might seem. So let's start off with the obvious things. So swim, bike, run. I haven't been doing much training recently, so I have to be careful. So I'm going to start off by going swimming twice a week. Now, I've put myself onto Masters today. Today's Monday, and I am terrified because Masters, even when you feel great, is really, really tough. So I'm a bit nervous about going tonight, I have to say. And for the first time in many years, I'm able to go to our Wednesday night training sessions because the timetable at uni allows that. So that's gonna be my plan, is to hit those two swims a week for the next 6 weeks. Bike riding wise, my plan is to commute into Bristol and back and get up to 100k a week. Now, it seems a bit daft that it wasn't that long ago I rode 21 days, 100k a day average, but to ride 100k a week, well, it's a starting point. Commuting to Bristol and back is about 50, 56, 55k. So I need to find some more time. I'll either get out on the bike, or it's the equivalent roughly of about 4 hours on the turbo. So 100k or 4 hours on the turbo a week, or a mixture of the two. And then running wise, this is the one that's going to take me the biggest challenge, and I've taken Colin McCourt's approach with this, that when you're overweight and you're out of shape, then it's a really good idea not to kind of go and do too many prolonged runs. So I'm going to build it up gradually. So over the next 6 weeks, I'm going to increase it by 1 20-minute run a week, starting with 2 20-minute runs this week, 3 next week, 4 next week, and so on until I get to the 6 weeks. I should be running more or less every day by then. So that's the swim, bike, run stuff. Really simple, nothing too complicated in terms of numbers or times or goals in terms of CSS or 5k targets or 1k efforts, any of that stuff, FTP, ramps, nothing. I will have to do an FTP test though to make sure that my turbo is working okay. So that's something I'll be doing tomorrow. In terms of like the nutrition side of things, which is my main, any of you watch the channel, you'll know that this is my main challenge, is food and drink. I'm trying to be kind of positive rather than saying kind of don't do stuff. I don't know what you think about goal setting, but my opinion is I always find that I'm much better if I do something. So rather than saying not to do something. So for example, I can eat everything I want, but my training never suffers. I always tend to train because it is doing something, but not eating chocolate or crisps or cheese is not doing something. I have tried to make these goals things that I can do rather than telling myself things that I can't do. So I'm simply going for the sort of standard 5 fruit or veg a day. That's my goal. I've never really done that, so I'm going to try and do that over the next 6 weeks. I know it's not the perfect solution. I know it's a fairly arbitrary number, and I know you've got to be careful about not making sure that you end up drinking, 2 litres of fruit juice or whatever. So my goal is to kind of go for kind of two fruit and 3 veg a day. So that's my goal number 4. And number 5 is simply to be sober. No alcohol, but the goal is to be sober, not to not drink alcohol. Does that make sense? Not to not drink alcohol. The simple solution to that is my goal is to be sober for 6 weeks. Alongside those things, hopefully they'll feed into goal number 6, which is to lose 1 kilo a week. Now, I woke up this morning terrified because I knew I had to get on the scales to be able to measure next Monday where I'm at with my 1 kilo a week. Now 1 kilo a week is about 2.2 pounds a week, which is healthy enough. I was dreading getting on the scales. I thought I was going to be around 120 kilos because genuinely I haven't trained. I've eaten and drunk so much stuff in the last 2 or 3 months, and I'm just not been in the right place for it. And I honestly, genuinely thought I was going to be around about 120 kilos. I'm not, I'm at 113.5 kilos, but that is the heaviest I have ever been in my life. It's just under 18 stone. I don't want to be anywhere near that in the future. So this is as bad as it gets today. 113.5 kilos is as bad as it will ever get in my life again. So the other 2 goals that I've got down here, one of them is to get a minimum of 7 hours sleep a night. So that means going to bed around about 10:30. But the idea being that we get a really good night's sleep each night. 8 hours would be ideal. I think that will improve as my eating and drinking improves as I go along. And number 8 is a bit of an odd one. I'll explain the background to this one in just a second, but apnea is where you hold your breath. And I've always been into diving. Many years ago, I came very close to becoming a commercial diver in my early 20s, and I've been fascinated with the underwater world all my life really. So apnea is breath hold. If you know anything about free diving, the breath hold technique is called apnea. And my record recently-ish, at the start of the year, was around about holding my breath for around about 2 minutes and 23 seconds. It's nothing to write home about. What I'd really like to do is improve my breath hold above 2 minutes and 23 seconds in the next 6 weeks to see where I can get to. There's a couple of reasons for this. One, I'm fascinated by breath holding anyway. The second thing is I think one of the really good motivators you can get in your life is to actually see adaptation. I think when you've done sport a lot over the years, it's very hard to see that incremental improvement that your body can make. But something like this, something that I haven't really trained or worked towards, I should see a pretty good increase. And that should inspire me to know that my body's adapting and making improvements and heading in the right direction. The thing with apnea training is it's not that dissimilar to kind of interval training where you're working on either your O2 consumption or your carbon dioxide tolerance, so a bit like lactate and anaerobics. So you do these kind of 1 minute holds and then 1 minute recovery, or you increase the hold that you're doing or decrease the recovery that you're doing. It's very, very similar. So I'm looking forward to seeing how we get on with that. So that's pretty much where I'm at. It's not the world's most groundbreaking video, but these videos were always about accountability, and they were about Bristol Triathlon, and both of those things are coming into play this week. It almost feels a little bit like I'm starting from scratch. In fact, probably before scratch, because when I first started these videos, I was actually in better shape than I am now. But you've got to draw a line somewhere, and this is the line, and things are coming together with the house. I feel ready that I've got a bit of control in my life where I can start to think to myself, I don't need those negative control elements in my life anymore. We all crave control. It's one of the most fundamental human kind of needs to control our environments. There's a reason why gods from all religions are all-knowing, all-knowledgeable control freaks. And that's why we crave it so much. And I feel like I'm in a position now where I can do this, and I really want your support with this. I really want you to hold me to account. Let me know if you're seeing the videos that I'm not quite doing as I promised, but I will be utterly honest with you with everything that I do over the next 6 weeks, and hopefully we'll see some big dramatic changes. And I'll report in on these every single week and see how I'm doing. But right now, I've got to go and do my apnea training, and then I've got to get ready to go to Masters tonight. So I'll see you next week with an update on how I'm getting on. If you're racing Bristol, good luck on Sunday. I'll see you there.